What's up, you beautiful people? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Phil and I am German, and in this video I'm gonna react to a Reddit thread called "Dear Non-Germans, what do you think about Germany?" So let's get right into it because it's freaking hot in my room. All I have is a fan. It's over 30 degrees and I had to turn it off to record this video, so I'm sweating like a pig. I'm curious what people are gonna write about what they think of Germany. Alright, so here we are, it's on Ask Reddit, and dear non-Germans, what do you think of Germany? First one of the first labs I worked in had a German boss. I'll never forget the way he would skip over a wide swath of details saying, and blah blah. That's right, only two blahs. So I asked a coworker why Dr. Bossman would say only two blahs, and he replied, because it's more efficient. Ah, the efficiency stereotype. So ever since then, I've thought of Germans as very efficient. Well, saying blah blah, blah blah and blah blah, I think what he focuses on is the two blahs instead of three blahs. So if you go too deep into details in a working environment, in a meeting, nobody can remember all of that without having the documents. So skipping over blah blah, it sounds pretty German. I would probably do that too. One guy says, honestly, that's both the most and least German thing ever. There are so many safety rules in some professions here. I remember when one guy had to read the instructions on how to disassemble something while the other one did it. It was just a battle of whether you could read it out faster than they worked. Well, that's kind of a nice stereotype, the hard, fast worker. I don't know if that's true, at least I'm not falling into that stereotype. Pretty sure Germans come out of the womb with an instruction manual on literally everything and tool vest because it's far more practical and efficient than a belt. Can't argue with that. Alright, another guy says, it's alright, I've been there a lot. I'm from Switzerland, so a lot of field trips were to Germany and when I was in school. I'm confused by not Swiss German, but otherwise it's cool. You're confused by non-Swiss German? Like, it's called German, so it's from Germany. So the real German is from Germany, and the Swiss German is not the real German from Germany, but fake German from Switzerland. Well, Switzerland is basically the premium ad-free version of Germany. Well, that's kind of true. I don't know about ad-free, but premium version, definitely. It's freaking expensive, but it's freaking nice as well because they have the mountains. One guy says, I love Switzerland, reminds me of Austria. I don't know if they like to hear that. Swiss people will love this comparison. Yeah, that's what I think. I'd say you could say this with or without irony and still be correct. I think I agree with that statement. Like, if you look at it from an outer perspective, it's two very small countries, both very mountainy, both very close together. They're very much alike, but I guess every one of them would argue that hardly. So if you say that in irony, that also would be true, but yeah. One guy says, thank you for giving Bernd das Brot to the world. It's a children's puppet show about a bread loaf with depression, and it is freaking confusing. Like, that stuff disturbs you. You should not watch that as a kid. I never liked that. Bernd das Brot, you should not be thanking us for that. That is freaking weird. Alright, this guy, Distinguished Duck, I like the name, says, when I visited Berlin, I was surprised they used the honor system for transit. You can walk into the U-Bahn without having to go through a barrier. That's our metro. That is true, we do not have these barriers they have in any other country. So you just walk in, nobody checks on your ticket, but what they do is they check on you randomly. They're undercover, and as soon as the doors close and the train starts to move, oftentimes they reveal themselves and then you have to show their tickets, and if you don't have one, you have to pay up. There are controls in the trams, don't forget that, like every half a year though. Yeah, I know a couple of people that just decide, and this is wrong, please do not do that, to always ride without a ticket and then just pay, I don't know, if they get caught every half a year. And I don't know if you do the math, if you would come out on top or not. I mean, it's not legal, so you should not do that, but there are definitely people out there that do that. One guy just comments 7-1, and I think that refers to the soccer game. I think it was the World Championship semi-finals or something in 2014 or 16? I don't know when that was. Either way, Germany is huge on football, aka soccer, and we played Brazil, which is like one of the best teams in the world, and then the German team beat them with 7-1, and for you non-soccer fans, that sounds like very normal, but in soccer, unfortunately, that's a very high scoring, so that is as exciting as it gets. And yeah, people still like to mention that, I guess, because since then I think the German team, did pretty crappy. Oh, one guy from Russia. I'm from Russia. The most people in my country think that Germany is very rich and this country is the main subject in Europe. We don't associate Hitler, Germany, with modern Germany. Well, thank you for that, because it's not. Like, that part of history is definitely over and it looks much different nowadays. As a German being in Russia from time to time, I always feel honored how Russians like our country and the people and distinguish between our past and modern Germany. Thank you for your words, it means a lot. All right, I mean, thank you for distinguishing. I think if you don't distinguish between that, modern Germany and Nazi Germany, you're an idiot? Actually, only Germans and Hollywood associates Germany with the Third Reich. Yeah, I mean, you can make movies about it. Hollywood does some good movies, but you should not think Hollywood shows you a current, realistic state of the world. Alrighty, someone else says, some lovely baked goods. And hell yeah, my wife raved about German bread and pastries. Better than French and Italian baking. I don't know about that, but yes, Germans are very proud about their bread and their pastries, and it is pretty good in some places. In other places it's not that great. Where I'm living, to be honest, on average, it's not mind-blowing. And when I went to America last year for the first time, you hear all these bad things about the white, soft, crappy bread, but I have to say, America had some very good bakery goods as well. So in my opinion, we can't just run around and pretend we have the best bread in the world. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. I think there's good bread in a lot of places. They were harsh on my country and Brazil in the World Cup. Yeah, that soccer game again. 7-1, never forget. Alright, y'all MFers got a no speed limit highway. It's both intriguing and scary. Good on you, Germany. If I pay for the whole speedometer, I'm gonna use the whole speedometer. Yeah, we have still a lot of parts of the Autobahn, the speedway, where you can go unlimited, basically, unlimited speed, but a lot of times it's pretty congested, there's a lot of traffic, so you can't really, but there are definitely times where you can. But then, do you have the car for that? A lot of Germans do, I do not. I went fast, it's fun for a minute or to experience once or twice, but then it gets old pretty quickly. My car tells me I can't go above 112 miles per hour. I don't like being told no by a machine. Yeah, I think our car goes like 160 kilometers per hour. So how much is that? Like 90 miles maybe? Not even. So yeah, slow car. You know it's scary when a Porsche drives with 300 kilometers per hour next to you on the road. That happens every now and then, very rarely though. It has to be super empty. Okay, another comment. What do non-Germans think about Germany? Nice currywurst. And I was always surprised by that currywurst stereotype. If you think about German food, I think currywurst is one thing that comes to mind for foreigners, but not for us. Like, I don't know, I think there are places like Berlin where currywurst is definitely more apparent, but in most normal cities, normal towns, I don't know how often people think about having currywurst for their lunch, for their dinner. Let me know if you're from here or from anywhere, if you ever have currywurst, or how often do you? I don't even have it once a year, I think. Probably a misconception about Germany. Currywurst, not a super German thing. Maybe it is, but most Germans don't eat it regularly. Alright, my wife worked in Germany for 3 years at an English-speaking daycare near Weimar. Her stories have reshaped everything I think about Germany, and especially the language. Popular media makes German sound angry and harsh. When someone you love speaks German, it sounds warm and comforting. My perspective is that Germany really has it together. That's a very nice comment, and to be honest, that's kind of how I feel about Germany as a youngish German living in modern Germany. I really think it has most of its crap together, like healthcare-wise, social life-wise, crime-wise. There's really not too much bad stuff going on in the country. So it's nice to hear that perspective from another person, because I think not a lot of people think about Germany in that kind of way. And talking about that language thing, da soll noch mal einer sagen, dass Deutsch irgendwie böse oder aggressiv klingt. Das kann überhaupt nicht sein. Ich glaube nicht, dass es so ist. Deutsch ist eine wunderschöne Sprache. Oder wir können auch ein bisschen über Umweltverschmutzung reden. Umweltverschmutzung ist immer gern gehört von ausländischen Mitbürgern. Kids are Kinder here. Yeah, it's a translation, Kinder. You have that brand, right? The chocolate brand, Kinder. Kinder Surprise Egg. Kinder Chocolate. It means kids in German. So, kids are Kinder. Lived there for about a year, Bavaria. From the US, so you live in Bavaria. You all know how to drive. You all know how to do bike trails. There are some good ones. I wish there were more. I like to mountain bike too. You know how to do beer and wine affordably and no open container laws. You're damn right. So beer is super cheap, wine can be super cheap in general, alcohol super cheap in Germany, no open container laws. Yeah, you can drink everywhere on the street, run around, be drunk. If you like that, getting drunk for cheap, Germany is your place. And I think Bavaria especially. Southern Germany is beautiful. In summer, yes. I'm an American. I spent 3 weeks in Berlin in 2015. Overall, Germany struck me as a well-functioning society with a gritty, dark, creative, punk, a-religious, artistic vibe. Maybe that was just Berlin though. Dude, that is an amazing description of Berlin. Yeah, you just described Berlin very well, but not Germany. Berlin is really something else. Yeah. Sounds like I gotta go to Berlin. Me too. Spätzle is dope, 10 out of 10. Am I not German for saying that? But I think Spätzle are totally overrated. I think every other pasta is better than Spätzle. It's a type of pasta that is like this rough outside and Pretzels, same thing. Frickin' Bavarians. It's a Brezel, not a Brezen. Yeah, Germany, pretzels, they're good. They're very much everywhere, but that's so many countries, and a very fresh pretzel is an amazing thing, but oftentimes they just lie there and then they're just mediocre. Hell yeah, pretzels.
Subscribe.
Pretzels. Döner Kebab is some good.
Subscribe.
A German-style döner place just recently opened up downstairs of my apartment and I have been in heaven. Do you need a roommate? Because that is pure luck there, my friend. You should never leave that apartment. I can only agree, Döner Kebab, one of my favorite foods. They're everywhere in Germany. They're cheap, they're awesome. That is one of the biggest pluses for Germany. Döner Kebabs, the best fast food in the world. You're right, right on. Oh, a Swedish person. As a Swede, I look at Germany kind of like our bigger cousin who has a dark past, but who has now radically bettered themselves to the point that we now look up to them as a close friend and even protector. Swedish and German culture also feels very familiar. We have the same strict, rule-abiding and moralistic outlook rooted in a shared Lutheran inheritance, as well as both being somewhat cold and standoffish and valuing logic and efficiency over feelings and emotions. Dude, I can't agree more. That's a very nice, very cool description. And me as a German looking at all our surrounding countries, I also look at them at friends and protectors and allies. I even think the European Union is there for a reason. I mean, we started, but we should treat the European Union as one big country. Long term, we should all unite somehow. And I totally look at Sweden and think like they're not much different. We're friends, we're in this together. Same with Netherlands, same with France, everybody. You know, Germans or countries in general, they love to give each other shit. Germans talk crap about the Netherlands, everybody talks crap about France, Austrians talk crap about Germans, but it's so similar, dude. We're all very much alike and I think we're all friends. That's a freaking awesome statement there. An efficient country with good cars. That's the power of German engineering. Giggles in Berlin airport. True that. I worked with a guy named Yannick who was German. That was really all I knew about him. He worked for our organization, his name was Yannick and he was German. He was an IT type quiet guy. One day I had a bag of pistachios that I was eating at my desk. Yannick walked by and was waiting to talk to somebody else. I said hello and offered him a pistachio. He said no thanks, he didn't like pistachios. Another data point. My mind immediately began searching for a reason why Yannick wouldn't like pistachios. And I connected it to the only other thing I knew about him. He was German. We all know that Germans love efficiency and pistachios aren't the most efficient snack. True. There's a little bit of work involved and sometimes you can't get them to open at all. Yeah. Yannick as a German doesn't like pistachios because they are an inefficient snack. This is now something I assume about all Germans. Dude, it's true. All Germans hate them. All right, so this thread is pretty fun at Reddit. Maybe I'll link it down in the description. Let's do one or two more before this gets too long. PFC Johnny said, I have been there a few times, but was there last year for Oktoberfest and I absolutely love it for so many reasons. Bavaria is almost impossibly beautiful. I'm from Ohio, so it doesn't take that much. I haven't been to Ohio. I think the US is super beautiful in a lot of places too. But yeah, Bavaria, especially the south, if you go close to the mountains, absolutely wow. Clean, charming towns with nice people and small shops everywhere. That's true, a lot of the newer, bigger cities are freaking amazing in Germany. They're clean, charming, yeah, depends on your taste, but sure. Their roads make so much more sense than in the US and I hardly speak any German. No potholes, seriously, not one, a couple. And everyone does everything they are supposed to do, so driving is easy. Yeah, they're douchey drivers, but I have to agree, my experience with the driving in America was I was a little shocked that it was kind of worse. So I always thought German has bad driving, but America now I think is worse. Coming home, we landed in Charlotte and I saw more out of shape people in the airport than I did the entirety of Germany. Well, let's change that. Come back after the quarantine. There are definitely more out of shape people here now. I think Germany has an overweight problem. There are countries that do way better, but I also had the impression going to the US that there were a lot of unhealthier looking people. There are many more reasons, but I'd imagine this will get buried away. I've traveled all over the world and don't buy the whole socialism is evil line here, but I don't think I realized just how hard they're lying to us about it. Even then I was like, well, the taxes though, right? Looked it up and it was pretty much the same. You know, except for the part where they get free education and healthcare. I wish more people here knew what different cultures are like. There are a lot of them and that do at least a few things better than us. I really appreciate the positive things about the country where I'm from. I'm usually the first one to crap on Germany. This sounds like a person that's well traveled, and you often have people that defend their home turf with all they got if they never experienced anything else. And I think that's not the right thing to do, because you should really look at it objectively. I think Germany has a lot of downsides too, but I agree with almost everything he says here. So thumbs up for that. Okay, one more, an American. As an American, I have a ton of respect for Germany. I lived in Tübingen for a year of uni and my PhD thesis mentor in the US was a German. A few observations. So that guy studied in Germany at a university, did his PhD, his doctorate, and the gap between rich and poor seems much smaller in Germany. Many professions are paid less in Germany, but others, like teachers, are paid more. I agree with that. We should pay teachers more. Maybe then our citizens wouldn't be so stupid. In a time of global crisis, maybe. The healthcare is great, and I felt like physicians didn't want to do so much unnecessary stuff as they do in the US. I get always annoyed with how physicians deal with stuff. It's a business for them. You should never forget that. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on too, but yeah, let's move on. I feel like Germans get a bad rap for being brutally honest, but I appreciate that. I think it's better to know where you stand than have this odd sort of ambiguity. Ooh, well, what is that? That occurs a lot in relationships and interactions in the United States. So as a German, I totally have to agree. I always thought I'm not the most direct person until I met my wife. I kind of learned that, yeah, I'm definitely more direct and honest or saying no to people than the usual American does. It can come across as being insensitive, and that is our fault because everybody should be cultural aware. But I think the German honesty is really not a bad thing, but coming from a German, if you're non-German, that shouldn't count for much to you. So make up your own mind. Christmas time, the bakeries and Christmas markets are just first rate. Yeah, Christmas markets, huge thing in Germany. I feel like we have a very bad winter. There's barely snow. If you think there's a lot of snow, there's not. It's very gray, it's rainy, it's cold, it's basically miserable. And one of the big things that helps us through that miserable time are the Christmas markets. People basically just go there to get drunk in public, open container, and that helps you through the winter. So Christmas markets. I went a whole year with no car in Germany. It was amazing. I wish I could do that in Texas, but it's pretty difficult with the state of our public transit. Absolutely agree. One thing I'm looking forward to moving to a bigger city is not having a car. It's just one thing less to worry about. Living in a city with great public transportation and no car is just a blessing. It is cheaper and easier to eat healthy and generally be healthy in Germany than it is in the US. I kind of agree with that. I think the US, it's easier to eat unhealthy, but it tastes so good. So I can see the point. When I was there, I felt like I need to eat all that stuff because it's so yummy, but not good for me. So I agree with that point. The support of children and families, healthcare, childcare, school, etc. is so much better. It's like you really care about your young citizens. That is absolutely true. Having a child in Germany costs you nothing basically. I mean, it costs you a lot long term, but medical wise, you don't pay anything. And with us being in the situation as a newlyweds and looking into the future, potentially having kids, that's definitely a thing to consider, because in the US, every visit to the hospital, the doctor, costs a lot of money. Also, school, university is basically for free. If you're good enough, you can just go. You don't have to pay. It's cheaper than most countries, so that's definitely a good thing. I think that was enough. Let's wrap that up here. I think I'm surprised as a German about these comments. Like, there was so much positivity about Germany, very modern, a lot of liberal ways of thinking, seeing how Germany developed from the dark past to point that out to what it is now, and it's very different. I'm glad to see that from other countries, that people understand that they have these perceptions of Germany, because as a German, when you travel abroad, when you meet other people, you're always a little concerned what they think if they come at you with that World War II Nazi stuff. To be honest, from a German perspective, it's getting kind of old. We get it, it's past. Nowadays, it's a very, very different country. I really like doing this video. This was nice. Let me know if there are other threads like this on Reddit, or any videos that we can react to, German stuff, American stuff, anywhere in the world stuff. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.